Hey folks, welcome to the show. With just over 20 games left in the season, for most teams, I think it's a really good time to look at the awards race, and as many people are, particularly the Hart race, Hart Trophy race, which I did a video of recently. So I figured might as well keep it up. If you spy my tabs, you'll see which trophy is next. And anyways, I figured we'd start with the statistical trophies. So that's the Art Ross Trophy, which is most points in the season. Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy, which is the most goals in a season. And finally, the William M. Jennings Trophy, which is awarded to the goalies who have played at least 25 games of the team who allowed the least amount of goals. I have to make that distinction because there was a point where Aiden Hill led the league in goals against average. I believe that's still the case, but he did have a pretty poor week. Anyways, because Vegas doesn't have the least amount of goals against per game, Aiden Hill is not number one there. Anyways, let's start with the Art Ross race. I was going to limit it to just the top five, and I did for the other two awards, but I figured we might as well turn this into a conversation for players who are on pace for over 100 points, and there's 12 of them this year. Keep in mind, these stats are old by the time you see this. These stats are from Friday morning. That's March 1st, I think. Well, I know it was March 2nd, so I don't even know that. Never mind. At some point recently, these stats were accurate, and the stat where the stats are right now, as you see them, aren't going to be super mega changes. Maybe in placement, since some of these players are really close together, but in terms of pace and in terms of the top five, shouldn't be too many changes, maybe in fifth place, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's start at the top. Without even reading what I have here, you know who's on the top. It's Nikita Kucherov, my heart favorite. He's had 103 points. Again, every stat is going to be as of when I wrote this. It's going to change, but whatever. He was at 1.72 points per game, which is the best, and he's on track for 141 points. Just an incredible number. It feels not that big since McDavid just hit 100 over 150 last year, but if he didn't, 141 would be huge. Anyways, and Kucherov had 17 in his last 10 as of when I wrote this, because now all these guys have played a game since then. Anyways, behind him, and he has been behind him for most of the year, right behind him, McKinnon, 98 points, 1.63 points per game. Tripping on my words. And he's on track for 134 points, and he's at 13 in his last 10. However, racing towards the top, and he might just finish at the top, and even though it'd be kind of cool to not see him at the top, see someone different, even a Russian different, it'd also be really awesome. Not just saying as an Oilers fan, to see McDavid be at the top once again. He's third place right now, 94 points, 23 in his last 10. He is at 1.71 points per game, which is second best here, better than McKinnon. And he's on track for 137 points, which is, again, better than McKinnon. So the stats are saying McDavid's going to pass McKinnon and get really close to Kucherov. After those three, I don't really see the rest of the guys on here winning the Art Ross. You never know, but again, realistically, I don't see these guys getting there. But Pasternak is close behind, 1.42 points per game for him. He's on track for 116. He's had 12 in his last 10. Behind him is Panarin, 1.37 points per game, on track for 112, 15 in his last 10. The first of two Vancouver guys on here is JT Miller, 81 points, 1.33 points per game, on track for 109. He's at 13 in his last 10. Nylander, despite the fast start, has slowed down, but he's still in the top 10, and he's followed closely behind by his teammate Matthews. Nylander has 79, Matthews 77. Nylander has 1.36 points per game, Matthews 1.35. Nylander's on track for 112 and 109 for Matthews. Matthews, however, has had 18 in his last 10 compared to Nylander's 17 in his last 10. Right behind Matthews, 1 point behind, is Rantanen, followed by Pedersen, who's 1 point behind him. Just over 1.2 points per game for them. Rantanen's on pace for 104 points. Pedersen 101. They both got 10 points in their last 10 games. Then the second of two Oilers is Leon Draisaitl in 11th. He's at 73 points right now, on track for 104, thanks to his 1.28 points per game played, and he's at 13 in his last 10. And then the third of three Leafs on here is Mitch Marner. He gets overshadowed every year, but I really think he's just an incredible talent. I love the jokes about him from a couple years ago, but those are all put to rest. Almost all of them. There's still the playoff bit there, but that's more of a team thing than Marner thing. Anyways, we're talking about the regular season, not the playoffs. Marner's at 72 points on the year, on pace for 102. He's had an incredible 19 in his last 10, nearly 2 points per game. Hopefully you can do the math. He's 1.25 points per game played. So like I said, it's kind of a three-horse race right now for the Art Ross. Kucherov will probably win it. McKinnon isn't far behind, and McDavid has been doing McDavid things. At one point it felt too far away from McDavid, and now it doesn't. It's just been really incredible to watch him. We talked about a lot, and by we I mean I talk about Oilers fans, Oilers media, McDavid himself, how those points are less important for him now because he's proven himself in that regard, and yet he still is scoring more points than when he cared about points. Part of that is because scoring is up in the league. The other part of it is just because he's Connor McDavid. Anyways, moving on to the Maurice Rocket Richard race. Again, it's pretty obvious who's number one without reading it. If you've been up to date on hockey, it's Austin Matthews with an incredible 52 goals. He's at .91 goals per game, 37 of them on even strength. Keeping up that pace, he'd go for 74 goals. That would be the first time somebody hit 70 goals since Teemu Selanne in his rookie year. And Alex McGinley both had 76 goals in 1991 and 92, I believe. Anyways, Matthews has 12 in his last 10. I was about to say equally impressive, but it's not equally impressive. But Hyman has been amazing as well. He'd win the trophy if Matthews wasn't being Austin Matthews. Hyman's at 40 right now. He's at 0.71 goals per game. 28 of them were even strength. He's on track for just one below 60. He's had 9 in his last 10. He recently passed Sam Reinhart, who, when I wrote this, was at 39. Only a third of those were even strength. I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, well, it's just power play merchant and all that. I don't care how you score. As long as you score, you score. That's what matters. I just put even strength goals as more of a tiebreaker of things, which I would use for 4th and 5th place, because both those guys have the same amount of goals, but 4th place has one more even strength goal. But anyways, and I thought it was really interesting that only a third of Reinhardt's are even strength. Not the rest of them aren't power play goals. He's got a few shorties as well. Anyways, so Hyman, yeah, I did do all of Hyman's numbers. So yeah, Reinhardt, he's on track for 54, but he's only got 2 in his last 10. And then Pastrnak and Kucherov are both at 38, both at .63 goals per game played, and both on track for 52. As talked about earlier, Pastrnak has a tiebreaker in my eyes. He's 27 of his goals were even strength, whereas Kucherov's only has 26. I say only as if I've scored 26 goals. I have not. I don't even score in floor hockey, but again, that's because I'm a goalie. Anyways, Pastrnak has 5 in his last 10, Kucherov 6 in his last 10. And there isn't anybody else who is on pace for 50 goals. We might have a 650 goal scorer, but nobody outside of these 5 are on pace for 50 plus goals. And Matthews is the only one on pace for over 60. But as I said, he's on pace for a lot more than that. Hyman could hit 60. I don't think Pastrnak or Kucherov will. Reinhardt at times during the season looked like he would, but I don't think he will either. That 2 in the last 10 is a little concerning, but Florida's winning, so whatever. And part of it is because Matthew Tkachuk has been scoring a lot more as well. Lastly, William M. Jennings race. So if the race ended right now, it'd go to Connor Hellebuck, and only Connor Hellebuck, because Laurent Brossoit as admirable as he has been in the backup role for Connor Hellebuck, is not on, would not have enough games played. Uh, Connor Hellebuck is on pace to play 60 games, and right now I could say he's on pace for 925 save percentage, but that doesn't really change whether you're talking about right now or later. Anyways, he's at a 925 save percentage, 2.21 goals against average. Winnipeg allows just under 30 shots per game, which is just below average. Average is around 30 shots per game. Winnipeg's allowed 26 in their last 10, so 2.6, a bit above their usual. A lot of their numbers comes from just an insane stretch between, I know November and December. I'm trying to remember if it went back to October, where you probably saw it, where they just did not allow more than 3 goals. Their defense is very good, but Connor Hellebuck is otherworldly. So I wouldn't say he's got it locked up, because Florida's right behind. Hellebuck has had not a much better season than Bobrovsky, but notably better. It's just Florida's defense has been amazing. Florida only allows 27.7 shots against per game, and it's helped Bobrovsky maintain a 916 save percentage and a 235 goals against average. He's also on pace for 60 games played, so Stolarz would not share the trophy with him, because Stolarz wouldn't have 25 games if Bobrovsky's playing 60 of them. Again, the trophy race is just between those two, but I did put 3 other teams there just because when we talk about trophies, it's usually in the form of top 5, because that's how voting works today in the NHL. Not that voting matters with these trophies. Anyways, so Los Angeles Kings are third. There was a point where they might have been number 1 because their defense was very good, but they became leaky, and so did their goaltending, though Big Save Dave Rittich, of all people, has helped, I don't want to say stop the bleeding, because LA is still third and third best in goals against per game. But whatever. So Cam Talbot's at a 913 save percentage, Rittich 914 goals against average. Talbot's 255, 232 for Dave Rittich. Talbot's on pace for 51 games played, and Rittich 25. Rittich's 25 is actually kind of impressive, considering he started playing for them around the new year. But it's highly unlikely that they take the William M. Jennings race, unless Jets and Panthers both fall off the cliff. And when I mean both fall off the cliff, I'm not just talking about Hellebuck and Bobrovsky. Their defense would have to too, because that's kind of what the trophy has become. It's influenced by defense a lot more than it used to. You still have to have a really good goaltender or 2 in front of you, and Hellebuck and Bobrovsky are both very good. If they're not elite, they're just outside, and they are both elite in my eyes. Boston Bruins always seem to be in the race for the William M. Jennings for the last 15 years, I'd say, going back to Tim Thomas and Tuukka Rask. Tuukka Rask and Halak won it, and then Swayman Ullmark won it last year, and that duo is number 4 right now, with Boston allowing 2.7 goals against per game. They allow 31 shots against per game, but their defense is good enough to make sure that most of those chances aren't high danger. And Swayman and Ullmark are both very good. Swayman's at a 920 save percentage, Ullmark 912. Swayman has a 2.49 goals against average compared to Ullmark's 2.72. Swayman's on pace for 55 games played, Ullmark for 41. You'll notice that adds up to 96, not 82. But that's because goalies getting pulled at times. It's not just games started, right? So there are lots of games where both goalies will play a game. Anyways, number 5, you probably wouldn't have guessed at the beginning of the season, but it's Pittsburgh Penguins. I mentioned in the goalie video I did, I think a week ago now, whatever. I thought they'd have a good duo at the beginning of the year. I thought Jari would have a good bounce back year, but I didn't expect him to do what he's been doing this year. And I've always liked Nedeljkovic. If that's not how it's pronounced, I don't know if I can be bothered to care. I like him. I really do. It's just... Anyways, both goals are doing very well. The defense has been par for the course. 30 shots against per game. Jari has saved 912 of what he's faced. Nedeljkovic 915. Goals against average 257 for Jari, 267 for Nedeljkovic. Jari's on pace for 57 games played. Nedeljkovic 27. So pretty comparable stats between those two, though obviously Jari gets the nod because of the workload and the shutouts. In the last 10, already mentioned Jets have allowed 26 in the last 10. Florida only 15 in the last 10. And they got a shutout today, so that number would be even better. Kings, they've allowed 28 in their last 10. Bruins, 33 in their last 10. And Penguins, 28 in their last 10. So that's the race right now. We'll see how it ends. I think Kucherov will hold the lead there, but it's going to be really close. It's not going to be really close for the Richard race. There might have been a point where it would have been between Matthews and Hyman, which would have been really fun and probably really toxic between the Toronto and Edmonton fan bases, but now the race isn't so close. And then William M. Jennings race, I think Hellebuck will hold on for number one, but Florida's very close behind and does have the better defense. I think Forsling has been one of the best defensive defensemen this year. And Ekblad has actually been very good defensively this year. He's more known for his offensive abilities, and he doesn't get enough credit. He's never got enough credit for his defensive abilities, and this year especially, even though he's taken a bit of a step back in his age offensively, he's really adapted into a defensive role, which might have to do with Paul Maurice and the team, and Brandon Montour taking over. But anyways, hopefully for everyone's sake in that division, they don't get Noah Hannafin added to that crew of defensemen. That'd be insane. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you leave a like and a comment. That helps me a lot. It also helps if you subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. That would be super helpful too. And I hope you have a great, wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you're at. And I will see you when I see you.